Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. The Book of Eli is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. In the near future, a nuclear holocaust known as the Flash causes ecocide, which is the mass destruction of nature. The United States is now a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and people must do everything they can to survive. 30 years after the Flash, in an ash-filled forest, a cat approaches a decomposing body for food while nearby, Eli waits with an arrow at the ready. As soon as he heard the cat meowing, he shot and killed it immediately. After retrieving the cat, Eli continued traveling, stopping only to check inside the car for anything useful besides the skeleton. Finally, he found an abandoned house, and as he searched the rooms, he tried to fill his canteen, but the faucet didn't work. When he opened the cupboard, the stench immediately alerted him to the presence of a hanging body, but that did not stop him from looking for something useful in there. Next, Eli cooks the cat while cleaning his gun and listening to his old iPod. The smell of grilled meat attracts the attention of a mouse, which Eli notices when he hears it meow and shares some cat meat with it. After wiping himself with a wet towel, Eli spent the night indoors reading a book and then sleeping. The next morning, he discovered his iPod was almost out of battery and the car battery he used to charge was also low. For now, he continues to travel, and in the middle of the road, he finds a woman with a broken shopping cart and asks him for help. At that moment, he discovered a terrible smell and called out to the thugs hiding nearby when he realized it was just a trap. The group went outside and the leader started pushing Eli to rob him, but suddenly Eli used a machete to cut the leader's hand. He then fought the rest of the group at once, quickly killing them all in a matter of minutes without causing a single scratch. It was almost as if Eli was protected by God. Then Eli also killed the chief, but he let the woman live. She had a bottle of water, but as soon as she smelled it, she dropped it. After checking all the bodies for useful items, he set off again, listening to music until his iPod ran out of battery. While walking near a destroyed highway, he heard a group of bikers attacking a couple. Eli feels bad, but reminds himself not to join because the gang killed the man, took advantage of the woman, and stole all their books. When the bikers leave, Eli comes out of hiding and continues until he finds a town where he enters the engineer's shop, who immediately threatens him with a gun. As soon as Eli heard it, he grabbed the gun to prove he was stronger and then quickly returned it, explaining that he was just a customer. He then asked the engineer to recharge the battery, offering to pay with a wet towel and a lighter. While the engineer works, Eli goes to the bar across the street where the killer bikers are visiting Carnegie, the lord in charge of this town. Carnegie was looking for a very specific book, so all of his mates brought him every book they could find, even if they couldn't read the title because they were illiterate. He looked through all the books they brought today, but what he wanted wasn't there, so he burned them all. His mood improves when gang leader Redridge reveals that he also found a small sample of shampoo, so Carnegie immediately uses it on his common-law wife Claudia, who is blind. So I really like the smell and the head massage. Downstairs, Eli pays with gloves and a scarf to refill his water bottle. While taking things out, he accidentally touched the cat, causing it to hiss. The bartender passed the pitcher to Claudia's daughter Solara, who returned to fill it. Redridge tries to block her path to show her concern, but she ignores him and gets in line for water. Inside, a gang member is angry that Eli touched his cat and tries to start a fight, but Eli smashes his face into the bar and tries to leave. At that moment, the rest of the group attacked him, so Eli had no choice but to fight. With a quick swing of his machete, Eli fights off all the thugs at once, killing them one by one without breaking a sweat. Soon, all the thugs are dead, except for one, but when he is about to kill him too, Solara turns around and begs him to stop. The distraction causes Eli to be captured and brought to Carnegie, who asks him to become one of his men. Eli doesn't care and tries to leave again, but Carnegie forces him to stay the night. Claudia then brought Eli some food, and he immediately realized that she was blind, so he asked her some questions about her story. Afterwards, Carnegie sent Solara to Eli's room to convince him to stay and take care of him, but Eli rejected her. He tries to kick her out too, but Solara explains that Carnegie will hurt Claudia if she doesn't, so Eli lets her stay the night. Since Solara doesn't often meet people Eli's age, she asks about life before the Flash, and Eli shares some stories. Solara also finds Eli's book and becomes excited, asking about its contents since she cannot read, but Eli immediately covers it up and refuses to discuss it. When he finally sat down to eat, he shared his food with Solara and taught her to say grace. The next morning, Solara has breakfast with Claudia and recites the words Eli taught her. Carnegie is shocked to hear this and demands to know how Solara found out, leaving Claudia hurt that Solara doesn't say much. Desperate to help her mother, Solara tells her that Eli has a book with a strange symbol on it, making the sign of the cross with his finger. Turns out Carnegie wanted a Bible, and Eli had the only one left in the world because all the others burned down right after the Flash. Excited, he orders Redridge to get Eli's book for him, but when they enter the room, Eli has already left. Redridge immediately kills the guard for his mistake and then sends someone to find Eli. Meanwhile, Eli takes the battery back from the engineer and tries to leave town, only for Carnegie to appear and ask him for the book. He believes believes that the Bible is the best way to bring society under his control and is willing to kill Eli for it, but Eli continues to walk away. Suddenly, Redridge shoots Eli twice, but he misses both shots. Annoyed, Eli pulled out his gun and began shooting anyone he heard moving, skillfully landing each shot while the enemy's bullets missed him each time. When the gun ran out of bullets, he pulled out a shotgun and continued killing the thugs, hitting Carnegie in the leg. Realizing that Eli actually has a patron saint, Redridge temporarily lets him go. After Carnegie gets his leg treated by a doctor, he tries to send the group after Eli. However, Redridge became wary after losing so many men, so he made a deal. He would get the book if Carnegie allowed him to take Solara as a concubine. A moment later, Ellie heard Solara following him. She explains that Claudia sent her because she would be safer with him, but Eli tries to send her away. Determined to change his mind, Solara offers to take him to the town's watering hole, which turns out to be a clean underground spring. Eli eagerly filled his gourd, then tricked Solara and locked him in a cave so he could continue his journey alone. Soon after, Solara escapes and tries to chase Eli, but instead finds the woman with the broken car. Solara tried to help her, but the woman told her to leave, not wanting an innocent young girl to fall into the trap. Suddenly, two thugs attacked Solara, and after beating her several times, they dragged her to a private place to take advantage of her. Her screams allow Eli to find her, and he shoots an arrow into a thug's groin and then shoots the other arrow into his throat. Solara hugged Eli in thanks, and they left together. Later, Carnegie and Redridge found the body thanks to birds flying above them. They also found a piece of Solara's clothing, so they knew which direction to go. On the way, Eli also heard the sound of a bird and shot it down with an arrow. As he picked up the bird, he asked Solara to remove the string from her bow. As night falls, Eli and Solara decide to rest in an old cooling tower. Solara asks Eli to read to her, so Eli shares a few lines before putting the book away. Eli also said that when he found the Bible, a voice told him where to go to keep the book safe and that it would be protected. Solara then asked him to teach her to read, but he did not respond, so Solara waited until he was fast asleep to try to get the book. However, as soon as she opened the zipper, Eli opened his eyes and pulled her out of the bag. The next day, the duo continued traveling and eventually found a house with a no trespassing sign, but they didn't see it and approached the door. Suddenly, a trap opens under their feet and they fall into a hole before the door opens to reveal Martha and George, an armed elderly couple who lived in this house before the flash. They asked why they disobeyed the sign, and when Eli apologized with kind words and manners, they decided to let them in. At first, the conversation goes well and they share some delicious tea, but things get awkward when the couple shows them the sign, the yard where they kept all the bodies of the people who tried to attack their house. Eli tells Solara that they should go because the pair are cannibals, and he keeps his gun out to keep them from blocking his path. However, on the way out, Carnegie and his group arrived by car. Eli and Solara immediately go back inside, and George reveals a huge collection of weapons hidden in the couch. Using a loudspeaker, Carnegie tells Eli to send the book to Solara to avoid a fight. A package falls out the window and Redridge rushes to catch it, but instead of a Bible, he finds a bomb. He ran for cover just before the explosion occurred, blowing up 2 cars and killing several thugs. Carnegie's men immediately opened fire on the house and Eli responded by throwing grenades. An upset Redridge retaliates by firing a missile and blowing up half the house, killing Martha. Enraged, George started shooting like crazy and killed as many thugs as he could until the enemy pulled out a Gatling gun to kill him and make the others surrender. Soon after, Eli and Solara were surrounded and dragged out of the house. Carnegie threatens to kill Solara, so Eli has no choice but to tell her that he hid the book in the TV. Redridge retrieves the book and gives it to Carnegie, who drops Solara and shoots Eli in the stomach. Eli tries to get up with a dagger in his hand, but Carnegie knocks him down and leaves with his men, taking Solara with him. At one of the trucks, Redridge placed Eli's machete on the dashboard while Solara removed the rope from Eli's bow, used it to strangle the driver, and caused the vehicle to flip over several times until she stopped. Again, as the other cars turned around to check what had happened, Solara went to the driver's seat and found a grenade which she threw at the vehicles to detonate another one. She then jumped into the driver's seat and discovered that Redridge had been stabbed by Eli's machete. He was still alive and managed to get the machete out, but as soon as he got out of the car, he died. Solara then leaves and Carnegie decides not to chase her in the last car because he already has the book. When Solara arrived home, she couldn't find Eli, so she kept driving until she found him on the road, still trying to reach her destination. She immediately placed him in the car and he covered the wound with duct tape. After several hours of driving, they arrived at the Golden Gate Bridge, which was broken and impassable. Eli said they were so close that they found a boat to go to Alcatraz Island. When Eli was too tired to continue rowing, Solara did it for him. Back in town, Carnegie cannot open the book because it is heavily locked. He called the engineer to unlock it and was excited to finally be able to read it, only to discover that it was in Braille. It turns out Eli was blind from the start, which is why he only reacts to things when he hears, smells, or touches them. Desperate, Carnegie asks Claudia to read the book to him. Claudia is clearly happy to read Braille again, but she lies to him that she has forgotten how to read. She also explained that she felt like her leg was sore and infected, so no one would respect him anymore. Carnegie checks the bar and discovers that the locals are looting it, not to mention his men are fighting, so he collapses in despair. Back at Alcatraz, an armed guard greets the duo and Eli convinces him to let them pass by telling him he has a Bible. They meet a curator who has collected all kinds of art from before the Flash to preserve human history and hopes to one day recreate it. They don't have a copy of the Bible, so Eli reveals that he has memorized it all and begins dictating so the curator can make his own copy. The work took a long time, so Eli had to take a break to shave and change into clean clothes. After much effort, the new Bible was finally completed and Eli died peacefully from his gunshot wound. After Eli is buried in Alcatraz's courtyard and a bound copy of the Bible is added to the collection, so Lara leaves, listening to Eli's iPod and carrying the machete on the way home to her mother. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.